In a dimly lit briefing room atop a windswept ridge in the Alaskan wilderness, November 3rd, 2027, Commander Ethan Caldwell dismissed Sarah Kane's plan with a scoff. "No one's hitting 3 shots at 4,000 yards in this blizzard," he said, his voice cutting through the icy air. The room, smelling of burnt coffee and damp gear, buzzed with soft chuckles as eyes darted to Sarah's weathered rifle, its stock scratched and faded. She sat quietly at the table's edge, her dark hair falling over her worn parka, her boots crusted with snow. Hours later, 3 enemy commanders entered a remote cabin for a clandestine meeting. 3 shots cracked through the storm, each finding its mark. The base fell silent, and Ethan's jaw tightened as he stared at the grainy feed, recognizing Sarah's unmistakable Stanseg ghost from a past he'd buried. The intelligence had dropped an hour earlier, 3 high-value targets meeting at dawn, 4,000 yards out, through howling winds and near-zero visibility. Sarah's voice was steady when she proposed a lone sniper shot from the northern ridge. The room, packed with hardened operators, erupted in disbelief. Ethan, his broad frame looming, laughed sharply. "You're out of your league, Kane." A cocky lieutenant, James Holt, smirked, his pristine uniform a stark contrast to Sarah's faded gear. "What's your story?" "Think you're some myth." A young private, Tim Reed, barely 20 with a nervous grin, chimed in. "She's probably just here to polish scopes." The room snickered, but Sarah's hazel eyes held steady, unflinching, silencing Reed's smirk. An older officer, Major Carl Dunn, waved her off, his voice gravelly. "We've got real shooters for this." The briefing moved on, maps spread, voices overlapping. Sarah sketched silently in a worn notebook, her pen tracing ridges and wind patterns with eerie precision. A wiry intel officer, Nate Cole, noticed her notes matched the fresh satellite data perfectly. "How'd you know this?" he whispered. "Practice," she replied, her tone final. Dismissed from the mission, Sarah endured more barbs. A logistics officer, Clara Wade, sneered. "Why's she even here? This isn't a daycare." The room's silence was heavier than laughter, but Sarah's face remained stone. She closed her notebook with a snap and left, her shadow swallowed by the storm. The team chose Jake Turner, a brash young marksman with shiny gear and swagger to spare. "Don't worry, I've got this," he taunted Sarah as she exited. The base buzzed with bets as Jake hiked out, but the blizzard worsened, winds tearing at 35 knots. Visibility vanished. Jake set up, his scope fogged, hands trembling. No shots fired. The targets slipped away. Back at base, Ethan raged, blaming the weather, the intel everything but his call. Sarah sat in a corner, wiping her rifle, her movements deliberate. Clara's sharp laugh echoed in the mess hall, mocking Sarah's presence. Sarah's rag paused, her shoulders tensing, but she said nothing. Then Sarah vanished. Her tent was empty, her gear gone save her rifle and a tattered map. She climbed the northern ridge alone, her boots steady on icy shale. At the summit, she dropped low, her parka blending with the snow. The cabin was a speck in her scope. She adjusted for wind, her breath slow. The targets moved inside. 3 shots, 3 kills in under 2 seconds. Back at base, the radar pinged a lone figure. "Not ours," Nate called. Ethan's eyes narrowed, suspecting a trap. Tim, recognizing Sarah's stance, froze, unable to speak as the order to fire on her loomed. Then the shots rang out. The command room went dead quiet, Ethan's order choking in his throat. Sarah returned, her face streaked with frost. Ethan confronted her at the gate. "You disobeyed orders," he growled. "I did what was needed," she replied, her voice calm but ironclad. Soldiers whispered, some in awe, others uneasy. The report that night credited an anonymous asset. Sarah's name was erased. In the armory, an old armorer, Sam Holt, watched her pack. "They don't deserve you," he muttered. Sarah nodded, slinging her rifle, and walked into the snow. A classified memo later arrived for Ethan. "Reactivate Sarah Kane, Shadow Fawn." The shots 4,000 yards. Blizzard conditions set an unpublicized world record. Ethan stared at the ridge, a locked safe holding 3 spent casings and a note. Shadow Fong settled her score. Holt's career tanked after his smug emails leaked. Reed faced online backlash for mocking Sarah, his squad shunning him. A visiting colonel, hearing whispers of Shadow Fong, knew her from a decade-old mission. Sarah was gone, moving through another storm, her rifle ready, her past a shadow. The mountains kept her secrets, but the base felt her absence. What would you do if you were Sarah, dismissed and doubted, but holding the skill to change everything? Should she have defied orders, or was her silence a stronger rebellion? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that cut deep and demand answers.